Hey everyone, this is John Marsh. We're going to talk today about actually how to put the points in your drawings and establish control. If you've been following along, you have your drawing all set up. You have your markups list all set up like this. You have the snaps that you need, and you have the tools that you need in order to do this. If you don't have anything like that, go back to the previous videos and watch them. I'm sorry, they're long. You got to do it. All right. So the first thing that we're going to do, guys, is we're going to set up control. I talk about control in the tutorial. Control is the most important part of what we're doing. I am going to say this. There are some limitations in using a PDF as far as control is concerned. There's only a certain granularity that these go down to. That is, they're only so accurate. All right? So when we're doing layout, we're intending this layout to be in areas, that are a couple hundred feet by a couple hundred feet. Don't lay out an entire building like this. I mean, you can, but you need to be very conscious of control at that point. So don't do that until you're an advanced user. Once you're an advanced user and understand how all the coordinate system works, no problem. You can do that all day. All right. So here's how control works. We need to mark points in the field that we're also going to mark in our PDF, and that's basically going to transfer all of the geometry, the northing, the easting, from our PDF to the field. So you're going to go in, you're going to tell your field guy, hey, at G line and 7, I want you to come out 2 feet, all right, and then I want you to come down 2 feet, all right, and I want you to mark a point in the field. And you're going to tell him to do that for, say, H7, and you're going to tell him to do this over at like a G6, and he's going to do that. And I would say tell him to do these points at 5 or 6 locations and then report back to you that they're done. And what this is going to allow us to do is we're going to replicate those points here with our control file. To make a point of a specific scale in a PDF, you got to look at something real quick. You got to look at your scale of your drawing, okay? These are vector drawings, like I said in the earlier videos, but they also need to be to scale. So this drawing is 1/8 inch per foot, and I know that because I read it right over there. So I'm going to go ahead and set my measures for 1/8 inch per foot, and then I'm going to come in here to the center of a column, and I'm going to use their tool called Sketch to Scale. Now, I am not awesome at this tool, but even I can use it. So I'm going to go 2 feet, all right, and I'm going to hit enter, and then I'm going to go 2 feet over. So I'm going to go 2 feet, and I'm going to hit tab, and I'm going to hit 90 degrees, and I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to hit enter again, and it's going to give me a 2x2 line, all right? In order to get my tools to snap to this, you have to do something called flatten. So I want you to highlight this line, make sure it's highlighted, and hit flatten, all right? Okay, so this is that 2x2 point that I said your guy's going to mark in the field. I want you to come over here, open your tool chest, and grab this one that's called CP, that stands for control point, and I want you to drop it not on it, right next to it, okay? In order to get this to snap, you're going to have to drop it, then you're going to have to come in, and you saw my cursor change, you're going to come up here, and now it's snapping to the end of that, all right? And we're going to want to do that, and we're going to want to do that in a couple places, so we're going to go ahead and do that here, and here. And again, I'm not coming straight onto the point, I'm coming near it, and then I'm using my snap to snap onto it. I just noticed that I wasn't getting a snap on this at all. You know why that is? It's not flattened. So if you're not seeing a snap, come in, flatten it, all right? And then you're going to get a snap. Boom, there's my snap. That geometry is really important. The Trimble is going to say that it's bad control if you don't get that geometry right. I'm going to flatten this one. Boom, flatten, and move up there, there. And those lines were all ones that were 2 feet by 2 feet off the columns. So I'm just putting in 3 control points for this because it's just a tutorial. But after I have those 3 control points in, I have control over this area, all right? Especially if this wall isn't up. If this wall is up, you need to put in some additional control because you need to be able to see the control with the Trimble robot from wherever you're doing the layout, all right? I'm not going to belabor that. Hopefully you guys have some experience with Trimble. If not, I'm sure there are many people who will show you how to use it. The next thing I'm going to do is come over here and I'm going to take my drain points. I'm definitely going to want drains. So again, going to drag some drains in here. I'm not going to hit all the drains because this is a tutorial. I don't need to do everything. I'm going to go ahead and slide these up. Again, this is something that I'm showing you the most simple way to do it. And you can obviously Find your own way to sort of use Bluebeam to do this. I would suggest heavily the find and replace command and changing around these tools just a little bit. For right now, I wanted to keep it simple. So all of these drain points, all you really needed was the X and Y, and that's what this little point is reporting. So if I go in here, this is my markups list, I see that I have these D1s. Here's my X, here's my Y. The Z I'm not using, so I'm just going to leave my initials in there, and it says drain. So if you noticed my points sequenced, so my drain went 1, 2, 3, 4. This is sort of important. You have to have unique names for all of your points. My toolbar kind of makes that easy for you, but if you're not using my toolbar, remember that you have to have unique points for everything. The other thing I can do is lay out the housekeeping pad, and I'm going to tell you there are some ways to do this. One is you can come in here, you can sketch up 4 inches and over 4 inches, and you can put some points on. The other thing you can do, which I think is easier, is that your field guys are not stupid. They are craftsmen. So if you take 3 points like this, and you go ahead and snap right to these corners, you can say, hey, I'm going to lay out points that are 4 by 4 off of the corners I want for my housekeeping pad. So you guys lay it out 4 inches off of that. Again, you can draw it if you want, but you can also use your field guys. They're craftsmen. They know how to do this. They've been doing this without you for years. So use them. They can save you a lot of time. The next point down is my H point. This is my hanger point. You can use a lot of different methods in order to get these to be, approximately 6 feet apart or 2 feet apart or whatever. But I'm not going to do that for right now. I'm going to leave that to you guys. I'm just going to show you that I do have a tool in there for hangers. Those are the 3 hangers on this line. And lastly is this sleeves point. I am going to take a second with this one. I'm going to tap right here. And I'm going to put a sleeve on this one too. And I'm going to move them up into place. Okay, so sleeves go through walls. And when you're laying out that, you really want to have a Z dimension. So we're going to add a Z dimension to these sleeve points. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to scale them. So I'm just going to grab that one end over there. If you grab the bottom right-hand side of my tools, you can slide them up, and that's fine. It won't mess with the geometry as long as this is where it's supposed to be, and that is the upper left-hand corner. If that's not in the upper left-hand corner, we have problems, all right? It's not going to report correctly. So I'm going to go over and hit my properties now that I have one of these sleeves selected. And in the author's slot, I'm going to put in like 9.5 feet. All right. And in this one, I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to put in 10 feet. Okay. So what I just did is I used engineering feet. Okay. All of this stuff is going to have to translate over into engineering feet. This is feet and tenths of a foot. And it's something to remember as you're doing all of this various layout. Everything ultimately is going to have to translate back to that. So we've just put some points in a drawing. We have our control, and we've created a point file. Now I'm going to look through this and I'm going to say, okay, so here are my hangers, here are my pads, here's my drains. If I hit subject, it's going to sort those all out for me. I have one thing, and I've sketched a little ellipse. If you have something that is not one of these points, I want you to highlight it and either flatten or delete it. In this case, it was unimportant. It was how I drew these lines for control. I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. All right, and now the only thing there are the points that are critical for our export. And we're going to go over how to export those points in the next video. But right now, what you have is you have a completed point file, all right? You're going to want to save this, and you're going to want to use this moving forward. Okay, so you want to save at this point, and if someone wants to add additional points, they can simply come back in and add additional points. The other thing they can do is move a point, all right? If they come in here and they move, say, this D4 6 or 8 inches up, and they resave the CVS and load it into the Trimble, it's not going to make a new point. It's going to move that point 6 inches up, because that point is D4, okay? I want you to remember that. It doesn't seem important now, but it will seem like a big trick later when you're sending these points out to the field and the guys are saying, no, we don't want it there, we want it here. That's when you're going to want to know that anything moved in this drawing is a coordinate that is actually moving in the point file. From here on out, this floor is set up to use the Trimble. You can add additional control, or the guy with the Trimble will just add additional control and you can just add additional points, okay? So at this point, we're going to stop, and the next stage is going to be us exporting the points we just generated and importing them into the Trimble.